where that money comes from.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Monday, February the 27th, and if you'd like to join for the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand at this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
She's trying to find her water.
If the clerk would please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Haremza.
Here.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosherak.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton. Mayor Rep.
Here. You have the minutes from the regular meeting of February 13th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move, Madam Chair.
Support. Councilmember Ashford, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any changes to the minutes? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We do have several public hearings on the agenda tonight. If the clerk would please start with the first one.
To receive comments on the general needs in community development, housing, and special services utilizing CDBG and home funds.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address public hearing number 1?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'd like to speak tonight on the CGB funding. I think what we have to do, we have to take a step back and look at how we fund basically the sidewalks in the city of Port Huron. As you should remember, just recently we turned about $170,000 back in so we could do a wireless system down in the city of Port Huron. I can tell you, just looking at my neighborhood and in the areas where I walk, I think about 25% of the people are widows or widowers and stuff, and they're living on single income, and they can't afford to get their sidewalks updated. So the only with the time that they get a chance to do is when we have these funds. So I think to send these funds anyplace else but the residents that need them is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address public hearing number 1?
Good evening. Do I need to state my name again?
Please.
Angela Kelly, 1410 11th Street. In general, in regards to the community development block grants, obviously Southside Girl, we have infrastructure over there that's over 100 years old. I know the reason why I moved back to Port Huron was to save my family home that's been in my family for over 100 years. So obviously historical preservation is always, I'm going to root for that. But we could use those funds in our neighborhood, especially on the south side. What Mr. Harris said too about the sidewalks and improvements, those things that could go into more infrastructure into our neighborhoods. I know that there's some wonderful programs, especially now that the siding got bumped up, but we need more of those things to help us. The brush up programs are awesome, those are great too, but we need more programs like that for roofing and windows especially too. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address public hearing number 1? Seeing no one, I'll declare public hearing number 1 closed. We'll move on to number 2.
To hear comments on the grant application in amount up to $300,000 to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Program to assist with improvements at 16th Street Park to create a trailhead, bike adventure nature trail, new inclusive play equipment, multi-sport field, ADA parking, and related park amenities.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to public hearing number 2?
No more trips up there, ladies and gentlemen. One thing I'd like to talk about, you know, one of the most unused parks in the city of Port Huron is 16th Street. It kind of, and I was always told by the ball players they hated to go out there and play because there was no shade and stuff. And I know we've made additions to 16th Street Park out there to try to get things done. And I know last year I even brought up about the one court that's been modified for the cricket or whatever, that racquetball game. And, you know, there were leaves there from a year ago, so it basically substantiated that there's very little use there. You know, I think we got a good program and stuff, but I think if we would take and augment some of our school properties, you know, the sons basically has just bought the property over there in Harrison, and that kind of took that school property away from that. And I think if you incorporate some of these funds in these pocket parks and things like that, you'd be better spent with your money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 2? Seeing no one, I declare public hearing number 2 closed. We'll move on to number 3.
To hear comments on the grant application in an amount up to $250,000 to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Program to assist with improvements at Sanborn Park to replace the pool, boiler system, ADA accessible renovations, tennis court renovations, new ADA parking lot at pool entrance area, and related park amenities.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 3? You might as well just stand there, Ken.
You know, I guess let me make a comment. Let me address 3, 4, and 5 because they're all similar. We're talking about $300,000, and I guess what really drew my attention was they all have something to do with boiler replacement. And I know that as my past work experience and stuff, the state has inspectors that come in and do the boilers. Has it been determined that the boilers for these pools and stuff need replacing, or are we just doing a preventive maintenance program? I think before we jump at spending this money, and we've got 2 grants for the same thing. 4 and 5 are mostly $100,000 grants, but they still say that they result in the same thing. So I think some investigatory work needs to be done before we spend this money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 3? Seeing no one, I will declare public hearing number 3 closed. Move on to number 4.
To hear comments on the grant
Point of order. Mayor, is 4 and 5 the same thing?
they have to be separate.
They're
for the
separate. They
grants.
require you do them separately.
Okay, I just had a question. Thank you.
Yep. To hear comments on the grant application in an amount up to $100,000 to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund Program to assist with improvements at the Court Street Pool to replace the pool boiler system, ADA parking improvements, and related amenities.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on public hearing number 4? Seeing no one, public hearing number 4 closed. We'll move on to number 5.
To hear comments on the grant application in an amount up to $100,000 to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Program to assist with improvements at the Court Street Pool to replace the pool boiler system, ADA parking improvements and repairs, and related amenities.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the city council on public hearing number 5? Seeing no one, declare public hearing number 5 closed. We will move on to public comments. If there's anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council, please come forward, give us your name and where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Julian Rutt, 1423 Lapeer Avenue, Polly's Place. I have 2 things I want to talk about tonight. And one thing is something that I've been, because I don't want to be overly dramatic, but for me at this point, I have to share a story that happened out at the garden in our first summer, 2 summers ago. That, for me, seals the deal on the value the garden has for the community forever. One incident. And it's the day I found a toddler. You heard that right, everyone. In the community rife with sexual predation, I found a toddler wandering down Lapeer Avenue. Of course, I didn't know that's what I was doing when I looked up and I saw a 3-year-old child, it was later assessed, stumbling down Lapeer with a little puppy who was 6 months old or so, keeping her out of the road as cars just phew, phew, phew. Now, I'm in the garden working, so I look up, I see this kid, and I'm like, well, you know, any moment there's going to be, oh, my baby, you know. Nope. And so finally, it's, hey, I need to get this kid back from the road. Hey, kid, look at this garden. Oh, so now here comes the kid, but here comes me, middle-aged man. Hey, also stay away, but also come close because I want you to be safe. And so she's in the garden. There happens to be a recovery house for women near the garden. So of course I real quick got over to them. The police were called. It took CPS and the police about an hour knocking on doors before we finally found her parents. Before Polly's place, that was a vacant lot. And when I bought it for $6,000, the day I went out there, I found needles, deeply rutted tire tracks from people driving across the lot to the alley back there. And I found, I'm not kidding, a pair of pants and dirty underwear just laying out on it. And I was like, hey, look what I got for $6,000. You know? But I knew from having grown food in the neighborhood for a season already that I could get with Rockinwood because they're just a little down the road and we could figure something out. So if anybody gets between me and feeding and helping that community with Polly's place, I will run them over. I will end their careers. I will figure it out. Because nothing is more important than that little girl who will never find out what happened. It has been over 600 days since I sat in James Freed's office and told him I'm onto something with this urban gardening thing. We need to get on this. Over 600 days. How many wandering children, or worse, that could have been prevented? How many thousands of pounds of food have I not been able to grow because he's been hindering us? The last thing I want to talk about in my last 30 seconds is something kind of exciting. We're putting in a flower garden at Ullenbrooks. They're going to donate to the neighborhood nonprofit. We're hoping to get women in recovery working that flower garden. We have other positive things going on in the neighborhood. And also this Thursday, for the second time, I'm meeting with the city manager, mayor, and the representative from the fire department of another city near here to do awesome things. It'd be great if we could meet 600 days and counting.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? Please come forward, and you have 4 minutes. Give us your name and where you live.
Last lap. I'd like to bring up under city manager's number 8. I've kind of had a wireless argument with the article in the Times Herald because it contradicts with what is on the agenda tonight for the project with Mterra. According to the article and the thing for the agenda I got for tonight, that the new pickup schedule for Mterra would be allow for 1 large item per week. And in the Times Herald article, they said there was no change in the standards and stuff. So I would hope when you discuss that item, that you would bring up what we're really going to get for our $14 million. And last but not least, the comment, you know, this $515,000 for this park, little park down front. And it's kind of a lot. It would do a lot of paving, a lot of streets and stuff. But I think the thing that affects me more in the background is one of the parties that's to do with this park and stuff. I watched her ability with McMorrin and stuff, and the grand total keep getting bigger and bigger. What we owed to make McMorrin Outdoors be a shining star that it is. But it was at a cost, and I'm just afraid that this project ain't going to get done for $515,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward, give us your name, where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
It's Angela Kelly, 1410 11th Street. This is in regards also to the Pocket Park for the $500,000. In tonight's Times Herald, Mr. Freed was quoted as saying that it's not like we can take this money and go somewhere else in the community and do something with it. We keep doing these TIFA zones. These do not go into the general fund. Meanwhile, our water bills are up. There's so many more things that you can do with these TIFA funds, and I've fought you guys maybe 12 years on that, just trying to get a better use of what those can do for the businesses. We need more advertising. Obviously, what's being done as far as promoting our area, we can't even decide on what brand we are, first of all, cohesive brand. And then to take that money and to advertise, but I'm not seeing that. I have many friends all throughout the states and over on the west side especially, and then along with my travels, we're not really hearing about Port Huron. And obviously we want to get people from Chicago to hang a right, not hang a left. And also we want people from Michigan to come on over. It's a straight shot from the #1 city in Michigan right now that's being promoted. All they got to do is take a straight line. They can come right over and see how beautiful our area is. But these TIF funds, they keep putting that money back in. That can go 25 years, 50 years. How long are we going to keep these TIF zones? And that takes away from our general funds and our general needs. I like to see that money be put into the businesses to help them, help revamp their buildings, streetscapes. Obviously, we holler all the time about bike lanes, and we know that this is a very mobile, walkable, bikeable town, but those TIF monies need to be put into a better use, especially if you're going to use it for downtown. And we can also do things that are non-permanent structure, like bringing in, obviously the county has mobile stages that you can bring in. And let's do some organic things. Let the businesses and the nonprofits do their own events. We need to get the city out of the event business. We can organically do that. We have very capable people here, and those kind of funding sources are there through the city, and that gives us a taste of what makes us very unique. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Farquhar. I live on 19th Avenue in the city of Port Huron. I also want to discuss from the city manager, number 8, Emmentera, the trash service. My question is are they the only game in town? And I know you guys aren't going to discuss with me up here. And then for $14 million, I would like to see some type of fine put in place for trash collection not on time, leaf pickup not on time, things done not on time. Like, I mean, if we're going to pay them to do the service, then let's actually, if we're going to redo the contract again, let's get them to actually do the service this time. The leaf pickup this year was a little better than years in past, but it's been terrible the last 3 years. I still have a pile of leaves sitting out at the end of my, raked out to the curb. They came by, they picked them up, but they left 6 inches of leaves in my front yard. Like they the wind blew them back. It was too far for their rakes to leave, and they didn't want to grab them. So now I have this strip that's 3 feet off the road and 8 inches wide, of leaves and sticks that just didn't get picked up. I'd like to see, some type of fine put in place or something put in place to make sure that they're actually going to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening? Please come forward, and you have 4 minutes. Just give us your name and where you live.
Kathleen McCready, 414 14th Street. While we're talking about parks and grants and change and so on, with the potential sale of the Harrison Center, the Harrison School to Sons, it's always been, traditionally it's been a playground for the neighborhood. At one time, at some point, it was shared with the city, some responsibility. So if the sale goes through and Sons takes over, that becomes private property, and they may or may not want the neighborhood kids there, and that's their choice, that's their business, I understand. So I hope you will reserve some money and look upon us, because if we don't have a neighborhood park, at least something, the kids that want to play basketball or baseball or whatever they want to do, they would have to cross 10th Street or Lapeer
or water, there would be nothing in the neighborhood. So I hope you all keep that in mind and reserve some money. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening? Please come forward. Give us your name, where you live, and you have 4 minutes.
Kevin Linke. Everybody knows where I live, so I'm here tonight. I'm sure everybody in the room understands why I'm here and knows why I'm here. The recent incident involving Officer Shouty at the Port Huron Police Department. It's curious that Mr. Shouty, his dad isn't here tonight. He's usually the city attorney that attends these. He may be on vacation. It may be something innocuous, or he just may be a coward like his son. I don't know. But, you know, it's highly inappropriate that we have a police officer that punched a citizen in the face. And what's even more concerning and disconcerting about this situation is not one public leader, none of you, not the chief, not the assistant chief, nobody has stood up and talked about this publicly. Y'all are just keeping your heads down and being the cowards that you are and hoping this blows over. I know PHPD right now is working on their new accreditation, and so this one's going to probably cause some problems. They also had the issue of the assistant chief physically removing me. It seems PHPD can't keep their hands to themselves, and the city council needs to look into that. And Officer Shouty needs to be fired. He doesn't need to be retrained. If a police officer needs to be retrained to understand that you don't punch people in the face, there's something wrong with who's doing the training. So you guys should look into that and address that. You know, when this happens in other communities, the leaders in that community speak up, they address it, they say something about it. None of you say anything. You're too busy sitting around at Applebee's, having your drinks, joking, and carrying on like there's not things going on in the city that need to change. It's an embarrassment to the city that this is everywhere. This whole situation went viral. You have a police officer who is the son of the city attorney punching someone in the face, and no one's talking about it outside of me and the group that I have. And, you know, that's unbelievable, to be quite honest. And so, you know, Shouty needs to be fired, plain and simple. He's a danger to the community, and something else is going to happen. I have more videos of Officer Shouty's behavior that I will be releasing soon, so we'll see where that goes. What else I would like to address, and since Mr. Freed's too much of a coward to look at me, after the last meeting I went to, you stood up. You guys don't usually address people when they talk. Well, you two addressed what I had to say. And you talk about this letter he has in his personnel file saying he wasn't involved in an inappropriate relationship. Here's the issue. Where's my cease and desist letter? Where's my demand for retraction? Where's the lawsuit? Because if you guys are going to call me a liar, have the balls to really call me a liar, and let's start some litigation. Because the fact that you're all sitting around and you get your little signed letters from Ashley and James saying nothing was going on, how are you going to explain the police report and the registration records that I have from the hotel that he checked into? So, you know, we're going to be filing my own lawsuit soon. I'm still waiting for your guys's, because I want you, if you're going to tell me I'm a liar and it's not true, where's my demand for retraction? I will gladly retract it if you can prove it isn't true, or even send me the letter, but you won't, because you're cowards, and you know what he did, and you know what he does. So, you know, we'll keep doing this, we'll keep talking about it. A lot of eyes on this city now. You looking at the clock, Mayor? How much time I got left?
No, actually I wasn't at that. I kind of glanced for a minute. You have about 57 seconds.
57? Cool.
Yep.
What else we want to talk about? I mean, you guys stand up and address this with Officer Shouty. You're the mayor. Why are you not addressing this? Why are you not speaking out that, hey, we do not condone this officer's actions. We do not condone his behavior. We are very sorry that this citizen had to experience this. That's what leaders do. They lead. They don't sit around and wait for things to blow over and hope nothing else happens. Because if y'all haven't figured this out yet, things keep happening. You just had both police departments, the sheriff's department and PHPD, get embarrassed with this runaway situation. And right on the heels of that, we're in here with an officer punching someone in the face. And when I tried to ask Chief Platzer what the policy was for use of force, he was evasive as hell with me, and it's all on his body cam, so we can play that conversation if you want to. He just wouldn't give me a straight answer. And you guys won't tell what happened to Officer Shouty. Disclose his punishment. The city wants to know what his punishment was for punching somebody in the face. And I'll tell you what, find Officer Shouty, I'm going to finish. Find Officer Shouty, tell him the next time he wants to bully somebody to come find me, and let's see what happens when he takes a swing on me.
Okay, your time is up.
Jobs, and put this guy in check. And
your time is up.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? You have 4 minutes. If you'd like to come forward and give us your name.
It's going to be changed. They hope so. It's going to be changed.
sir.
Hello, my name is Mary Williams, and I'm a citizen of the south side of Port Huron. And I would like to say, reclaiming my time, I would like to say that we have some very fine police officers in Port Huron. I just think you need to know that. But at the same time, we have some bad actors. Hal Smith, and anybody who don't know who Hal Smith is, look him up. He was an actor on the Andy Griffin Show. His character on the show had an agreement with the sheriff, Sheriff Taylor, that anytime he became under the influence, he would stumble himself through the streets of Mayberry and bring himself to the courthouse and lock himself up for the rest of the weekend. Monday through Friday, the character would work as a glue dipper in a furniture factory. But when the weekend came, Otis owned the weekend. Somebody knows who Otis is. Never did I see Sheriff Taylor assault Otis, or he would just tell him to go home or go over to the courthouse. He referred to Otis and other people in the city with his southern mannerism as, "You're a bird of this world." He would referred to them as their uniqueness. We have unique people in this city. Hal Smith only appeared on 32 of the 249 episodes. In 1960, one of the sponsors of the Andy Griffin Show wanted to get rid of the character Otis Campbell, but instead the producer of the show got rid of the sponsor. We have many unique people, or birds of this world, and all should be treated with kindness and respect. For the officer to punch a citizen in the face and claim that he swung at him first is wrong. And then what makes it even worse is to pretend that it didn't happen or try to cover it up. As a citizen of this city, I cannot pretend to cover up things. We have too many bad actors, from the court system all the way down to the people who sweep the streets. An injustice to one is an injustice to all. Yes, the man had a sharp tongue who was in the video against the police officers. Yes, that was kind of wrong, but sometimes we all have sharp tongues also. The police officer, the man did not deserve to be assaulted. We must find ways to address people who are unique. This could have been your father, your mother, your sister, your brother, your son, or your daughter. When bad behavior as the officer displays happen, more than just a good talking to or a slap on the wrist should occur. He was sent to training. Well, the citizens paid for that training. He was sent probably hotel fare, wherever he had to go be trained at, traveling mileage. So we paid for that. And that is why I am here today to request that the officer be arrested for assault against a citizen of this city.
Mary,
Give me my time.
oh, you've only had 2 seconds there when that phone rang.
Okay, Mayberry had its flaws, but it did embrace its uniquenesses. Port Huron has its flaws, but we can do better than this.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? If so, please come forward. Give us your name. You have 4 minutes.
Hello. My name is Heather. I've been a longtime citizen of Port Huron, moved out of Port Huron, still in St. Clair County. Wish I would have known about Mr. Lenke 2 years ago, almost 3. What I've seen in the past, and I've donated much of my time to the community, I have seen some good officers, but I've seen some shit show officers too. I've had officers standing looking at me with their arms folded like they were at a patriotic parade, telling me not to make a show of it, telling me that I have to pay for police cam that is digitized and bleeped out to prove how I was re-victimized by the Port Huron Police Department in the case of my daughter's death. Now, we've had officers that have talked to me kindly, saying they were going to do something and did nothing. We had other officers get promoted of how good of a job they did on my daughter's case. Do you know not one officer called me to tell me my daughter was dead? Not one officer apologized to me, but they degraded me. They degraded my other living daughter, and they told her to shut her mouth. It wasn't a Jerry Springer show. There is a lot of things that has to change with the Port Huron Police Department. And me, myself, if I was to get in trouble, I would not want a Port Huron police officer. I would rather have a Michigan State police officer, because there's been too much swept under the rug in Port Huron. I have 5 grandsons, and I do not even want to raise them in Port Huron because I know what's going to happen to my grandsons if they stay in Port Huron. You guys might want to think about more of where your money is being spent for all these different programs. Maybe open up some programs that can do something for the community. Have the police officers be a little bit more intent on checking up on the people who are victims and didn't ask to be victims. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward, give us your name, and you have 4 minutes. Seeing no one else, I will declare public comment closed. We will move on with the agenda. From the city manager, we have 4 items that we can read together, which are all for chemicals. So if there's no objection from the council, we'll take 1 through 4 together. And if the clerk would please read those.
Accepting the unit price bid from Chemtrade Chemicals US LLC in the amount of $572 per dry ton for an estimated 440 dry tons of aluminum sulfate for use at the wastewater treatment plant and water filtration plant. Accepting the unit price bid from JCI Jones Chemicals in the amount of $1.96 per gallon for an estimated 189,500 gallons of sodium hychlorite for use at the wastewater treatment plant and water filtration plant. Accepting the unit price bid from JCI Jones Chemicals Incorporated in the amount of 0.138 cents per wet pound for an estimated 450,000 wet pounds of sodium hydroxide for use at the wastewater treatment plant. And accepting the unit price bid from Carmuse Lime Incorporated in the amount of $415 per dry ton for an estimated 540 dry tons of hydrated lime for use at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Is there any questions on any of these purchases?
Madam Mayor and Council, I could just point out the exponential growth in these chemicals. We have now single source suppliers. There's not a lot of competition in this marketplace, but if you remember last year, we were like sticker shocked. I believe it was like the 20 to 30% increase, and we're seeing that yet again compounded on last year's increase. So year over year, you're up about 45 to 50% for some of these chemicals. we don't have the luxury of cutting back on these chemicals or not using these chemicals because they're proprietary to our treatment process. So hopefully this will be temporary. The market will be able to handle this, but there's a lot of factors, including trucking costs, the trucker shortage, fuel cost, also the war in Ukraine disrupting some of the suppliers. So it's not good, and wasn't good last year, and it's really not good this year, but we have to do it.
Any questions for Mr. Freed?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. Yeah, and that would have been one of my first questions, because I did see the table whereas in all the categories that the chemicals have went up, considerably on some of them. And actually, these from the city manager is like it's no option. This is what we have to do for you to have clean drinking water. So we won't find ourselves in a situation where our water is contaminated. So we have to do a better end on trying to, like you said, with the suppliers and getting others, where we can buy it at a reasonable price, looking forward to the future. But as far as what we're doing tonight, this is paramount that we do this, that we make sure that we have a quality drinking water for the city of Port Huron.
Absolutely. If there's nothing else, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 5.
Accepting the bid from Decima LLC in the amount of $36,500 for the installation of PLC equipment and software upgrades at the water filtration plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosherak.
Madam Mayor and Council, in December 2021, you approved the engineering contract for these logic board controllers within the plant. We had a pre-bid meeting with 6 different contractors, and we received a single source bid from Decima LLC for $36,500. They are proprietary to the plant.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, could you expound on the PLC equipment? What is that?
So, well, we'll have the engineer come up because they're a programmable logic board. I got the gist of it, but you don't want mine. Eric, if you can come up and just quickly explain.
Yeah, I couldn't research it, so I think I better ask this question. Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. James is correct. PLCs are programmable logic controllers, which are essentially the brains of the whole facility. So these electronic components monitor various operations through the plant. They control the equipment. They report back to the operator, who has their screens on in front of them that monitor the whole plant. So it's really an electronic background on the whole plant.
So is it something similar to your SCADA system? Or?
Yeah, so the PLCs communicate to the SCADA system. So
great.
Without these PLCs, the SCADA system really wouldn't have anything to look at.
Gotcha, and that's the heartbeat. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Making that plain.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. Item 6.
Accepting the sole source quote from Marysville Truck Equipment in the amount of $31,603.67 for the repair to a 1992 sludge trailer used by the Solids Department at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, you'll see those big stainless steel trucks hauling biosolids going throughout the city. Those tanker trailers cost about $220,000 new. And the tanks themselves last a significant amount longer than the frame and the underbelly itself. So what we did is we worked with Marysville Truck Equipment to get a bid to rebuild the frame. So we'll take the tank and essentially put it on a whole new frame. At that cost will only be $31,000, and we should get another 10 to 15 years out of it.
That's good. Better than a new piece of equipment.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I do have one. I hate to keep doing this to you, but this is not a vehicle purchase. I understand that. So I just hold my question for the next one, so we can
Okay.
stay on. Yeah.
We'll take the vote on item 6.
Councilmember Haremza,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 7.
Accepting the bid from LaFontaine Automotive Group in the amount of $81,054 for 3 2023 Chevy Equinox vehicles for use by the Inspection Department.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support?
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. And Mr. Freed, would you like to address this one?
Yeah, so these will be, again, in your memo, you have what vehicles we're replacing. Actually, one of those vehicles was taken out of service because it wasn't even roadworthy. I believe it was 601 was taken out of service. We are seeing new vehicle costs somewhat come down, so that's at least intriguing. However, we're still seeing a shortage. So some of our other vehicle purchases that we want to bring to you, we not necessarily can right now because of shortages. But we are seeing the new vehicle price come down.
Oh, okay.
Did you have another question?
Yeah, no, not another, it was the question.
Okay, it was the question.
And I know in the past, we've usually used My Deal, so since this was so low, is that why you?
So what's happening is the My Deal, because there's such a shortage of inventory around the state, My Deal can't even facilitate the bidding. So if you click on My Deal, it literally says go see the local dealer.
Really?
So My Deal can't even function properly in this market.
Okay, but this still would have been right in the same ballpark?
Oh, yes. Yep.
Is that, okay, great, okay, thank you. Thanks, Mayor Rep.
Is there anything else? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak,
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza,
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 8.
Accepting the bid from Enterra Environmental USA in the estimated amount of $14,099,769 for solid waste collection services citywide, including disposal services for 100 Merchant Street and 1808 Bancroft Street, for a 5-year period beginning July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support?
By Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb, and Mr. Freed does have a presentation for us.
Yep. Madam Mayor and Council, working with the trash, the refuse contract the last couple of years, the refuse collectors are facing the same challenges that everyone else is facing. Rising vehicle costs, rising fuel costs, most importantly, worker shortage. They cannot get the workers to facilitate the work. We have a lot of complaints about leaf pickup. We were pretty hard on Enterra. The phone calls that Eric and I had with Enterra were pretty tense at one point. But they said, candidly, they said, we're facing it with everyone else. We can't get workers. We can't staff all the rigs. I have spoken with city managers across the country as far as ways Kansas City and as far south as Georgia, who are in the process of rebidding their contracts. Those average contract prices have risen between 30%, and I've seen them rise as high as 59%. This is a national issue with this type of service. We were no different. So what makes our trash contract a little bit more difficult is a lot of trash contracts, they just come and pick up your trash and that's it. Here we coupled leaf pickup with it. That deters a lot of people from even wanting to bid on our contract, candidly. A lot of them said, get rid of the leaf pickup and, we'll bid on it, at least try to bid on it. The issue becomes is we cannot, the city of Port Huron, we looked at, well, can we just buy our own leaf pickup equipment and hire some workers and do it ourselves? The problem is the lead time is almost 1.5 years on that type of equipment. And even if we did have the equipment, we also were facing the worker shortage. This past summer, we couldn't get workers to mow our parks. We hire a whole army of temporary workers in the summertime. 5 years ago, those wages were around $12 to $13 an hour. This year, they were between 17 and 20, and we still couldn't fill them. In fact, I had one guy call me and said, Edison Parkway, it should be mowed every 2 weeks, and it's been 3 weeks, it's looking ratty. I said, I can get you the key to the Harley, it's a 52-inch deck, because we can't get anyone else to run it. So we're all facing those challenges, and so we don't really have the options of uncoupling that contract. Now, in the long term, if we want to look at that, we probably can't after this contract. Maybe the market will shake out, maybe the worker shortage will resolve itself, maybe the vehicle and equipment cost will start to plateau. This is how we bid the contract. Your weekly trash pickup will not change. Unlimited amount of trash pickup, the same. What we are changing is unlimited bulk pickup. You get one bulk item a week. So if you got a couch you throw out, you can put one couch out to the week. If you got 10 couches to pull out, you're going to have to stratify that over 10 weeks. That helps reduce our cost and also helps with the labor cost. Yard waste collection will be every week. Curbside recycling will still the same. And all leaf, curbside leaf pickup will remain the same. So really the big thing is, you used to see like the massive piles on the street. That's no more. You get one bulk item plus your trash pickup in the regular trash totes. This is some history of the cost. So last year, the current year we're in, we are paying $1.9 million to facilitate trash pickup, recycling, leaf pickup across the city. Next year, that number is $2.6 million. That's a 33% increase. That's staggering. But when compared across the country, it's actually not that bad of an increase. We went from $9.6 million on a 5 year, so you take all 5 years of that contract and you add them up, and it's $9.6 million. In this contract, it'll be $14 million. That's about a 32% increase. Just shy of 30% increase. So that is a staggering increase in the cost. We are lucky we got a bidder to do it. Here shows the refuse fund equity, the fund revenue, and the fund expense. We essentially just barely break even every single year. This contract will have to take some creative financing. The current model of funding will not suffice. So during our budget process, we're going to look at how are we going to fund the trash collection in the coming 5 years, because our current model will not sustain it. And we currently use a 3 mil millage to fund our trash pickup. So you have 3 mils on your taxes. Whereas if you look at all of the municipalities around us, they do a direct bill for service, sometimes on the water bill, sometimes on your annual property taxes. And so we're going to have to look at that. And I don't know what the solution is. I'll bring you some policy options, but that's a decision for the mayor and council. All right, that's my quick PowerPoint.
Thank you. Councilmember Huron, did you have a question?
So are you saying that with how it was structured, there was no other bids? Right.
It's both the way it was structured, and then they just can't get workers either to take on additional contracts. The other issue is the lead time as well. You know, I had looked at, well, we're going to go out and buy 5 trash trucks and hire 28 people, and we're going to do it ourselves. We can't get the trucks, and I doubtful we could fill those positions. With that said, if you visit porthuron.org and go to the HR tab, we're always hiring. If you know anyone who's looking for a job, we have a lot of positions open.
Would that contract have the option after 3 years that they could drop the leaf portion, or are we locked into paying for both for the full 5 years?
We're locked in because they're going to also make some commitments on infrastructure and cost of equipment as well. So to inoculate themselves with some significant risks, you buy all this equipment and then we pull the plug 3 years, you don't have enough time to depreciate that asset and fund it.
Right. And I think the comment was made about fines for not pickup, et cetera. Is that something anybody else does, or
no?
With the leverage, I mean.
No, because we have a performance bond that we could call upon, but that's pretty significant. But because of that, you can't do liquidated damages. If we implemented liquidated damages, we would not get any bidders, because they're forced the same whims. If you don't get workers 1 week, a lot of them hire temporary workers. If you can't get the workers, then you're going to start getting fined for something you can't fix. All things considered, MTER is trying, and they did do a good job, and a better job than anyone else wants to do. We're continuing to work with them on the dictating specifically the amount of equipment. So in our contract, we would say you have to loop the city, once a week, right? But we didn't specify we want 4 to 5 rigs in the city at all times. That is now in this contract. So, because I drive around, I'm like, I'm seeing 2 rigs. Where's the other 2 rigs at? And they pulled it off for another job. We have now stipulated that in the contract and defined that, so it should provide better resources to make sure leaf pickup continues to get better.
And I guess one more question. Did you say it's out of the budget, out of year 1? I saw it kind of quick, or I saw it staggered over 5 years.
Yes.
First year, are we already underwater versus?
July 1st, it will not be sustainable. So we're going to have to address it in the next 4 months.
That's why our fund balance is just flat across.
Yeah, we don't want to, We just want to break even. We don't want to make money. We just want to cover the cost and get the service done.
And then by law, or whatever it is, we can only do up to 3 meals anyway for trash pickup. Isn't there a limit to?
Correct. It's a state statute that enables us to collect the 3 mills.
And you can't go any further.
Correct.
Is there a cancellation clause in the policy, in the contract? You know, say, what if they just really did not perform to our expectations?
I'll have Eric.
Okay.
They
address that.
already did that. I mean, before now.
He's coming up. Because there still is, I mean, aside from the leaf pickup, you know, I hear complaints about just the way they handle it, just regular pickup, you know, throwing the trash cans around, this kind of thing. Is that going to be addressed with them?
Yes. We had that meeting with them as well.
Because, yeah, it seems to be a big complaint too, as well as the leaf pickup, is the fact that, yeah, so
your performance in dealing
broke
with
my
that.
trash can.
Well, some of the
yeah.
issues are the person running the truck one week won't be the person running the truck the next week because they have so many temporary workers.
Or is there an outlet that our citizens could call and report these things
Yep.
and get back in a timely manner?
Yep, every report that comes to the DPW, we actually meet with MTerra on to discuss that report and review it.
And then during your negotiations, because I can remember sitting here, listening to us, I'm part of this body, I didn't say anything, but I'm just listening. I mean, we kind of like trashed them, you know. So was any configuration or any mind thought set into that when you're doing these negotiations?
Yeah, I think you see we addressed the equipment. Part of the issue with that was the equipment shortage, so we addressed that in this contract.
I think Eric's still looking for it.
Mayor Rabb, while he's looking, James, really basically what we're saying at this point is whether we like this or not, it's the only bid we have, and if we want the trash to be picked up, we have to say yes.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And then I believe this was one of the items that was brought up at our goal session, so but though we'd be locked into 5 years, this could be something that we could definitely spend the next 2 to 3 years looking at and trying to figure out what are other alternatives or options if we're not happy.
And if they don't perform, we consider it breach of contract. It's 30 days notice.
30
day
days.
notice.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
That's good, yeah.
And I guess it'd be important to explain too, because the importance of having leaf pickup, because I think you hear sometimes, well, why do you even bother to have leaf pickup? But obviously we can't burn in the city of Port Huron, which seems a little strange, because if you live across the street in Port Huron Township, you can burn, but you live in the city of Port Huron, you can't burn. But I know that that's the ruling. But also if the leaves were to gather out there into our storm sewers and everything else, we'd have more problems. And we have a great amount of leaves.
We have a significant, we are actually designated an urban forest by the Department of Interior. That's how much tree canopy we have.
My God. So I just think it's important that people know that it's not an option whether we have leaf pickup or not. I mean, this has been going on ever since they stopped doing burning. So if we could continue on, if there's any council members that have any other questions about this item?
Just going to decide without our input how the leaves are picked up.
We don't, you had your opportunity to speak during public audience. We don't engage back and forth after that.
4 minutes every few weeks. I got these.
Is there anybody else on council?
No, that's all.
That's it?
Call for them.
Okay, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yep. Yes, sorry.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes, so you will be coming back with us on options here? Okay.
Yeah,
Item-
And they're also going to be monitored, is
Right.
that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Item 9.
Accepting the unit price bid from Dean Marine and Excavating Incorporated in the annual estimated amount of $311,176.99 for the 2023 through 2025 maintenance, dredging, dock installation, removal, and maintenance of the downtown marina.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support?
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Lamb.
Madam Mayor and Council, this, to just not confuse, this isn't the dredging contract for the canal. This is just in our downtown marina. We have not had to dredge, I think, since 2014. Sorry, 2017. It was very minor because the high water levels have kept the river so high that we haven't had to dredge. As those water levels continue to drop, we're going to have to assume at some point some dredging will be conducted. So that's what this contract is for. It also includes, removing the docks at winter time and putting them back in springtime. So this is just an annual contract we have. But I do expect to begin tapping it more once these water levels drop.
Is there any discussion?
Mayor Rapp?
Yes,
I
Councilman.
was looking to see if I could find this, but he can probably answer quicker. How does this compare to our previous contract?
I'll Whitter bring that up for you. Don't have it on the top of my head.
Poor guy's looking for all his papers.
What are we talking about?
Previous cost.
Oh, yeah.
Mayor and City Council, there was an increase this time bidding. The 2000, let me see here. The previous one was 244,000 a year, and I think I can go back farther for you. I just brought the last time, so last time was 244,000 a
Thank you.
year. And they held their price for all 3 years the same as they did this time, so.
Okay, great.
James, you said that a portion of that is for set costs that happen every year.
Yeah.
And others just the fund if we need to dredge, and we haven't had to since 2014.
2017, we did a small amount.
Got it. So when they don't dredge,
We don't get billed.
okay.
Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherat?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes, item 10.
Accepting the bid from Body Construction Company in the amount of $515,387.58 for the Military Street Pocket Park revitalization.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Councilmember Lamb, is there a second?
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, and I believe do we have a presentation
Yeah,
on
and before
this?
we get into that, Madam Mayor, I'll have Natasha, our DDA Director, Natasha Hayden, come up and give a presentation on it. So the funding for this will come out of the Water Street TIF, which is it captures growth, tax growth, and captures other jurisdictions' tax growth that goes into the infrastructure just in that district. We can legally not take this money and spend it outside the district. Previous expenses, for instance, we filled Lapeer Avenue, all new asphalt on Lapeer Avenue, in that section there that's in the Water Street TIF district. We completed that project. We also have on 10th Street, we have some plate replacements in the road that we'll probably do next year. It has a fund equity of $636,000. It generates about $350,000 a year of revenue that has to be spent on only capital improvements within that district. So the funding will come out of the Water Street TIF. We can't use it for anything but infrastructure within the development district.
And also, if you don't mind, and we don't keep them alive, these TIFs. They can only go, what is the max?
About 30 years.
30 years.
Also, one thing as well, the reason why we're doing this is the park has not had any improvement since it was built, I think back in the 60s. We have some ADA accessibility issues there. We also have some pavement that's cracking and heaving that is a liability. And so what we're going to do is make it accessible, ADA accessible, address the heaving sidewalks and infrastructure needs there that have to be done no matter what.
Hello.
Go ahead, Natasha.
Absolutely. Madam Mayor, City Council, Military Pocket Park is small, but it's mighty. Its location is already amazing, just being overlooking Black River and with easy access to downtown Port Huron, shops and restaurants. We noticed a big change in the park in 2020 when the space was activated to accommodate restaurants patrons. Back then, restaurants were experiencing sitting restrictions, and the seats, like tables and chairs that we placed in the park, made a huge difference, not only for the patrons, but the restaurants itself that was struggling at the time. We also claimed the park back with our back to the community by bringing local and consistent entertainment to the park throughout the summer months. And Shop Rock and Stroll is going to continue on, has been continuing on since then, just bringing hundreds of people to downtown Port Huron that has increased our foot traffic in general. So I don't know how to control there we go, perfect. Our inspiration is from Lansing, Michigan. They have this amazing sales with plenty of seating. They use the park for not only to have lunch, but also entertainment. We can go to the next slide, please. We would like to bring the same type of shading to the Military Pocket Park. It will bring, we'll still have this, feel where you get the sun and why not, but it's still plenty of shade for the entertainment that we provide over there. Next step, please. And that will be the layout how it's going to lay out over the park overall. Next slide. We're going to complement the park with like different seating altogether, so not so much the picnic tables that you see throughout other parks, but just want to make sure that the design itself looks aquatic and it looks good for everybody else. Next one. Plenty of seating not only inside of the pocket park where you see it today, but also by the river as well. So over that wall and also across the street or across the sidewalk over there too. Just want to make sure that it maximizes the seating capacity for the park.
Is that over by the Heritage Park? Heritage over there across from that?
So not across the river, but just, so if you're in the park, like you're still like by Water Street.
Okay.
Yes, so by Water Street and by Black River as well.
Okay.
That will be the additional seating that we'll be adding to.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Absolutely. Next slide, please. This is a very cool feature, is illuminated glass rail. So the park itself, we have some issues with the concrete. We would like to fix that, and that's going to be raise the park altogether, quite a bit, in fact. And by raising that concrete, we'll not only fix the tripping hazards that we have right now, but we'll also be able to look over the water with the glass railings as well, with just more ease in general. I'm not sure if we have another slide.
Doesn't
That
look-
will be it. I believe that will be it. Do we have any questions about the design in general?
Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes, go ahead.
Mine might be for James also. That was always my understanding that was in MDOT right away of the pocket park there. Is that correct? Are they involved in this, or did we?
Yeah, we'll have to get a permit from them to conduct the work.
Okay.
Madam Mayor and Council, I would also note that the Downtown Development Authority met and approved this project and reviewed this project. They've been working on it for 2 to 3 years, actually. So the DDA has been actively involved, and they did vote to approve this.
Any
Mayor
other? Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
Natasha, do we know what is the current utilization of this park, or basically in the summer months when it's warm and we have the music down there? What is our average
Of attendance?
utilization?
Yeah,
Yes. I mean, we should have at least like 70 people come at every single time, and we do have like for every single weekend, and that is just for Shop, Rock, and Stroll. That's just for one night. For throughout the day as well, people use for lunchtime, especially the workers in that area. They just have their lunch over there too.
I think there's also a social district in the social district area, correct?
That is one of our common areas in addition to McMorran Plaza. So that's, it's just a great, it's definitely an asset for the south end of downtown Port Huron. Like you get together, you know, have either enjoy a drink, get some entertainment, have your lunch. Just one of those parks. We don't have a lot of parks in downtown Port Huron, so it's one of the little places that I really like for our area.
I think that we were kind of like encouraged from the citizens at that end to have something at the south end, because you had the northern part going, but you wanted to complete it.
That has been an asset, absolutely, especially after 2020 when we were able to activate it. Any of the restaurants that you see in that stretch will tell you that the increase in foot traffic that we brought with the programming that we have in Military Pocket Park has effectively, or has affected them positively in, you know, just economically, and how many people have been there and spend money in those restaurants have been tied to the programming they were bringing to Military Pocket Park.
Right. Well, it's just a plus for you anytime you can listen to engaging the public and what they want to see, you know, as far as not you just doing it, but you being in the position to make these things happen for them. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Any other questions for
Mayor
Natasha?
Rappa?
Yes.
And if no one else has any, I have a
Go
follow-up.
ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
It looks great.
Thank
It's
you.
a big price tag.
Thank you.
What I'd like to know is, if we weren't to do this, I know there's some issues with the cement, there's some issues with other things, what would it take to, how much money would it cost us to bring it up to whatever it needed to be without going to this extent?
I'll address
So
that.
of that $550,000, how much do we have to put into it anyway?
The vast majority is the site work. If you look at the bid tabs, the vast majority is the concrete, the ramps, the site work, the restoration of the wall. There's a wall around there that's starting to crumble and collapse. So the vast majority, I would say probably 350,000 of the contract is the actual site work itself.
So if we didn't move forward with this project, $350,000's got to go in anyway,
Yeah, most likely.
roughly. Thank you.
Is that general fund?
No, it's,
No, I mean, if anything over, we wouldn't have to do anything. I'm just trying to make a point here. So this is just TIFA.
Yep.
Yeah, no general funds, no tax. Yeah, just want to make clear.
James, Tifa, can you explain that a little more?
The taxes, so it's a tax increment finance authority. So what we did is we created a tax district that we set a baseline valuation for for the property values within the district.
Okay.
The property value growth, the TIF captures all the different various taxes and says all these monies must be directed to just this district. And it's really to come, if you look at the Water Street TIF area and you go back 30, 40 years, it did not look the way it did now. There's been new developments, infrastructure, roads, all facilitated by this TIF district. And the idea is that it focuses on creating the infrastructure to create property values and property growth.
And so as we keep expanding, and we're going to have more pool of money to work with in theory going forward.
And eventually it'll phase out. That TIF district has a sunset, so it eventually will phase out.
Anything else? Excuse me, we're just having our meeting. Is anybody have any more questions on item 10? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you so much.
We'll move on to resolutions. Number 1.
Approving the sale of numerous vacant lots in the industrial park to Nelson Family Enterprises LLC for the purchase price of $91,340.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Support.
Thank you. Councilmember Mosrak. And do you want to talk about this a little bit, please?
Madam Mayor and Council, this is a nice win. It will be built and then leased to Frito-Lay for a small distribution center. I really want to thank the EDA for helping attract this development to the city. Kramer Realty did a nice job negotiating the contract. David did an excellent job. This was their original site. They wanted to be on Dove, and the problem is when you have 23 acres and you shoehorn out like 3.5 acres, it can impede future development for that land. And so we really wanted to site this development in such a way that we still had 20 acres that were buildable and contiguous for a larger site plan. So David did an excellent job working with them to get this constructed. This is on par with our typical rate for selling land out there based on the investment and job creation.
Any questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Item 2.
Approving the qualified licensed establishment Wrigley Center into the Port Huron Social District and recommending the applicant be approved by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Is there any discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. Let me move on to ordinances. Number 1, please.
Second reading and enactment. An ordinance to amend Chapter 34 Offenses, Article 7, Offenses Against Public Safety of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances for the purpose of updating Section 34-312.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support, whichever. I don't know where to get
Mayor
it.
Pro Tem Archibald, supported by, I think, Councilmember Lamb said something. Did you?
Did you say something? I didn't. I thought you did.
Okay, we'll see.
I will support.
You will, though?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Is there any questions on that? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. That concludes the agenda this evening. I have asked, because it was brought up before from Kathleen McCready about the park and the playground with Harrison School. That did concern me about over there, if the Suns were going to continue having a park over there. So if you could address that, I'd like it.
Madam Mayor and Council, we have met with Suns. They're in the they haven't bought the building yet. They're in the process of doing due diligence. We've met with Suns. Nancy met with Suns about how do we keep that playground a community playground. We've even talked about the possibility of the city acquiring that playground so we can begin applying for DNR grants to enhance that playground. It actually is a really nice area, great park. It's located in a nice area, and Suns is very open to working with us because I don't think they can afford the maintenance of that playground. So that's something that we are talking with Suns on as part of their due diligence process.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Is there anything else to come before council? Did you have something, Councilmember Ashford?
Yes, I did. Last meeting, I gave you somewhat of an update, probably more of a data update on the Blue Water Area Transit. And today, we would just like to announce new bus shelters that are going to be put up, installed throughout the city of Port Huron and Fort Gratiot. And I think we have a picture of it, do we?
Yeah, it's up there.
Oh, okay. Anyway, this is going to be your new your bus stops where you have the black ones all around town. Now we'll have these up here. The only difference would be there's going to be a blue stripe up at the top part there, just complementing the Blue Water area. And we are anticipating that the shelters will be here sometimes in May of 2023. But the installation could take quite some time. Many of the companies that install these for us have a challenging schedule. However, we hope to begin installation as early as May is the time frame of 2023 and have the first batch of 15 up by fall of 2023. And I would like to note that the bus shelters will not be targeted in one specific area when we start putting them up. They did their due diligence by going categorizing, the bad to the worst or whatever, the north, the south, the east, the west, or whatever. But we're going to try to strategically start in all these areas and putting up these new bus shelters. We have a total of 33 shelters throughout the city to include Fort Gratiot. So this is what's coming and some other things that we have, and we haven't got any okays on them, but we got some more stuff that's going to be happening within the city of Port Huron on behalf of Blue Water Area Transit. Thank you.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anything else to come before the council? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Meeting adjourned.